Mick Fanning, welcome to Straight Talk, mate. Finally.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't
Been
it?
a while, sure. Well, you've been busy, mate. So, let me just start off, let's ask you this question. How do you feel being a kid that grew up in Penrith to now we're sitting where we are, by the way, that we're on site at a place where, you're part of a group that's proposing to build a wave pool up in not North Queensland, but in Queensland, in the Gold Coast. How do you feel about that transition when you stand back and have a look at what you've done in your life?
Oh, mate. Yeah, it's one of those things where I never thought I'd be in this situation. From where I started as a kid and to where I stand now, grew up with nothing, and then to be able to be in, situations where I can build a business or, be able to make decisions around money. It's purely wild, and I'm forever grateful that I'm in this situation. But just know it's like, you always hear those people, oh, you can do anything you want, and it's sort of like, well, you sort of can. Like it's just as much work as you want to put into it, really.
But were you one of those people who used to manifest that type of thing? Like, did you think yourself as a kid, I'm going to get the fuck out of this territory when I'm older, and I don't want to be that person when I'm a parent? Did you used to think that stuff to yourself, like manifest this universe?
To be honest, growing up, don't care about money. Even to this day, like I don't.
It's not a driver.
It's definitely not a driver. It's never been a driver. Even when I was competing and that, like, didn't care if it was the biggest prize purse in an event or something like that. It wasn't my being and all. My thing was just be the best I could possibly be in whatever situation I was in. And yeah, I think that's just the rewards come from just working hard.
That's a very good point. But you just said you thought, I want to be the best at what I do. Like, so is that a natural competitive streak in you?
Being the youngest of 5 kids,
Yeah.
I had
No choice.
yeah, it was just, I don't know. I think I was just always fighting for something, like if it's the best seat in the house to watch TV, or if it was food on the table, or just beating my brothers out the door. And so yeah, it's just always fought. But then also too, like my brothers from a very young age never sheltered me. Like, I first started playing rugby league when I was 5 years old, and I was playing a year above. And my brother, Peter, would sit on the sideline and he'd say, see that big kid? You have to tackle him. Don't worry about the rest of them, just tackle that
Is
guy.
it in Penrith Juniors?
No, this was Coffs Comets.
Coffs Comets?
Yeah. I never played. I moved from Penrith when I was probably, I think I was like 4. And we moved up to Coffs with my dad. And yeah, they put me on the Coffs Commons because we lived across the road from the footy field.
So how good was that though? Like, I mean, if you remember back to those days, having your older brothers, I don't know, which one was he, by the way?
Peter was the oldest.
Oldest.
Yeah.
How old would he been?
He was 9 years older than me.
90. So,
Yeah.
so as a young, because I got 4 sons, and my youngest son has always looked up to my older sons. And I often think about that because I was the oldest in my family, so I never experienced. But as a young kid, looking up to your older brother, how much inspiration and aspiration did you feel like? So I want to be like him.
Oh, it was. They were pretty much my driving force for a long time. It was always looking at my brothers as my heroes in a sense. Especially when we all started surfing together and seeing them be successful in their own right in the surfing world. Is like, all right, well, to get to there, I have to do this. To get to that spot, I have to do that. And they were always sort of my yardstick. Like, all right, Ed did this at 18. Sean did this when he was 18. I'm going to surpass them both. And so, yeah, it was sort of like a yardstick to really, I guess, know where I was in life a lot of the time.
That's pretty sophisticated thinking or mature thinking for a young guy to start thinking about measurement I'm not talking about it in a complex way, but measuring where I am relative to where they are, or where I want to be. I want to be relative to where they are. Where did that come from? Like, is that your mum, your dad, or like who talked you, who showed you that shit, or did you
No,
just naturally think that way?
just naturally. Like even when we lived in Ballina and
So you moved from Coffs to
moved
Ballina?
the Coffs back to Campbelltown.
Oh, right
So I
back.
went Penrith, Coffs, Campbelltown, and then Ballina before moving to the Gold Coast. But yeah, like playing under eight soccer, like no one shows me, no one in my family was like, you got to go and train or this and that. Like I would ride my bike because I wanted to go training and then learning things on the soccer field. And they would go surfing, like come surfing. I was like, no, I want to go and practice this. I
Oh,
don't know.
really?
Yeah, I
At
just,
8?
yeah,
That's mad.
yeah. Or like long distance running. Like I knew I had a race coming up and just was like, I got to go train. Like didn't have a coach or anything like that. It was just like, I just felt like that's what I had to do.
It must have been a parent's dream, because most parents say, "Come on, get out there and do that."
Mu- to be honest, Mum was always working, so she would leave in the dark, come home in the dark, and yeah, so yeah, she didn't know what we did during the day. She was just like, as long as the house was clean, um, yeah, she was happy.
So I met, and no doubt you know him because you're a mad Penrith supporter. I mean, unfortunately this year you guys didn't get the chocolates, but you did pretty good in the last previous couple of years before that. But Nathan Cleary's a bit like that. So become so good at what he does. He told me that after training, he will practice for hours. He's completely committed to what he does, like as opposed to doing anything else. He's completely committed to the task at hand
Hmm.
during the football season. Perhaps during the off season is a bit different. And I know he's got a new girlfriend, but is that how you approached, say, your surfing career?
Yeah, 100%.
Is that what they call you, Cyborg?
I don't know why. The boys just said I just went into a whole different world and like with the cyborg thing, they were just like, I don't know.
You weren't aware that you went into that mode.
I was,
Yeah.
yeah, but that sort of, I guess my first early years in my career, um, I probably took it for granted a lot. I probably took it to a point where probably talent was just getting me through, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like I it was before all the days of you got to be the fittest or you got to be training the hardest or whatever, and I went from being a junior onto the world tour just so fast, like from 17 to 21 was just so fast, and from winning pro juniors to actually winning world tour events and be top 5 in the world, it was just like wow, like I had to really stop and like
I'm now in first grade.
yeah, and I didn't, I guess it's sort of like that imposter syndrome in a bit, like am I really here, and but I was having a great time. I was young, I was single, I was traveling the world to the best places on earth, and it wasn't until I tore my hamstring off the bone in 2004 that I actually had this moment of
In the water?
yeah. I was in Indo and tore my hamstring off the bone as I like did a floater and come down, did splits, and yeah, didn't know what it
So the
was.
tendon came off.
Tendon came off, had to get surgery, do all that, and yeah, it wasn't until then when the doctor was like, "You may never surf again." It
Well,
was like, hang on, like, did I just piss this up the wall? And I think I had this huge shift in my mindset and in the way that I approached surfing from then on. I also had a moment where I was watching an old heat and
one of
I,
your old heats.
yeah, and I thought I got flogged, like, but then I watched and I didn't get beaten that bad. But then I started remembering the few nights before and stuff like that, and I was on the piss having a party, and I just had this immense guilt come over me, and I was depressed as it was because I was sitting on the couch injured, and I just went, you know what? I'm gonna do everything I possibly can so I never have that feeling ever again.
So, we have a lot of people listening to the show who are like in business. And for me, I like to look at it in a certain way. I mean, whilst you have talent, you've always had talent as a surfer, probably even as just as an athlete generally. But there's one thing to be a talent and be a surfer. But it's another thing to be in the business of surfing,
Mm,
winning events, because
mm.
there's money involved. It's a career, it's lifestyle, livelihood, etc. At what point do you remember that I'm going to turn myself from being a surfer to being in the business of being a surfer? Like actually, and go about it in a business-like way, mindset, training, physio, diets,
It was that point.
that point.
That point, yeah. So you know, up until then, like I'd seen chiropractors and sort of did a little bit of training here and there. Like,
More
you're young, you
response
don't
there.
get fat.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? But then once I started doing rehab and I started learning, I have scoliosis. So
Oh, really?
yes,
Wow.
so I'm pretty bent out of shape. So I was learning how to manage that, but then get my leg back to a point where it was strong enough to compete. And I thought having a healthy meal or something was having a chicken wrap from McDonald's. Like just never got brought up about diet, never learned about it.
Well, you never learned about it as a kid either.
No, and so through that 2004 period in the rehab, I had time to do all that. I had time to learn about my body. I had time to learn about diet, what makes me feel good, what makes me feel bad. But then also too, I started learning about my own mindset as well. As like, all right, well, where do I feel like I perform best? Where do I feel like I'm, chasing my tail?
Like
Like,
strengths, weaknesses.
yeah. And I wish I could compete like someone like Joel Parkinson in the sense that he's so carefree. The more fun he's having, the better he does. And I've tried to do that. Oh mate, I am pathetic. So I have to like really narrow down and just really be, I guess, prepared. Like that was a big thing for me. I was prepared better than anyone else on tour.
And what does that mean? They're prepared.
Just from, you know, boards, from body, from mind, equipment. You sort of surfers were pretty lackadaisical, but I had like a specific bag. I had boards that I wouldn't ride unless it was for the event. Um, you know, didn't matter what happened throughout the day. Every night I'd go to bed thinking the event's on the next day until it wasn't. So like I'd stretch, meditate, you know, try and clear the brain and wake up that next morning trying to be at 100%. So if the event was on, then I was ready to fire.
I mean, how old were we talking about? 20,
I would
20?
have been 20, 23, 24.
Did you go out and sort of seek advice from people like more than advice, instead of just having a chat, like advice from people like, well, what should I do to prepare myself ready for this event? I've got this big event coming up. Um, you know, potentially a world title involved. I mean, I'm ranked here, but I'm not ranked exactly where I want to be. I'm up against Slater or Joel, whoever you're up against. Did you ever do this? Can you help me prepare, not to surf, obviously, but just prepare for the event, prepare for the whole big event?
Look, I had a coach. His name's Phil McNamara, who's incredible. It was a whole range of things. He wasn't really a coach. He was more like a mentor
Yeah.
slash, even father figure in a sense. But he would always be throwing things at me, curveballs and stuff like that. But I was always the person that like I would always ask questions because I'd never been there before. And, even growing up, like I didn't even know exactly what being a pro surfer entailed. It's before the internet and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was just go
You
surfing
couldn't
and
Google it.
yeah, we couldn't do anything. So I always asked a lot of questions. I was never shy to ask a question of someone that I admired or something like that.
And why do you think they would answer it? Why would they think they give? Why do you think they would give Mick Fanning an audience? What is it about you that you think got them to say, "Yeah, hang on, mate, come here, kid. I'll tell you what you need to know."
I think I think in the surfing world, people like to give back.
There's a generosity there.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like, I think it's that camaraderie in surfing as well. Like the older guys look after the younger guys to a point until they get too cheeky and then they bash them up. But, but yeah, it was always like, I always felt like I showed respect to my elders and respect to the guys that had come before me, and so yeah, I always just, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where you never know. If you don't ask, you don't get, right.
But
And
that's pretty. Again, it's pretty sophisticated. Like a lot of people would sort of shit themselves. They say, "Oh, well, there's so and so over there. I'm not going to go and ask him or her a question. They're too high powered or they're too up there or out there. I'm just whoever I am." Like because when you come from you start off in Penrith or Campbelltown, you go up to Coffs Harbour, go back to Campbelltown, then go to Ballina. We're not talking like a kid who's been, sitting at Cranbrook School, who's used to dealing with all the knobs and, all that sort of stuff. A lot of people like both of us, actually, because I come from the same sort of territory, like you tend to feel a little bit intimidated, but you weren't. You were sort of quite happy to ask.
yeah, I wouldn't say I was. I knew who these guys were and these girls were. I knew who they were, but I wasn't. I don't know. I've never been that person that's been overly starstruck
Right.
or
Okay.
whatever. I always feel like everyone's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be good at what you do, but that doesn't mean you're any different to anyone else. You worked hard to get to your position, and I'm just doing the same. And so I just never felt like I was ever intimidated in the point where I was like, I couldn't ask. I was like, if all they can do is say no. And I had people say no,
Yeah. Fuck
but
off.
yeah, but then I had a lot of people, just explain to me what they did, and I've always been a kid that wanted a lot of information, and then
Even from a kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just always just sift through like um the parts that I like, and I like, the things that I really enjoyed were, the mind part of it, or
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah, the
How you set your
psychological
mind.
part, yeah, how you set your mind, because I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like when you're at the top tier of your sport, everyone has talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone can surf. But what's that 1% that I walk down the beach, turn into Cyborg, and that person can't?
So was that your superpower? You reckon? Like, I mean, do you think that Mick Fanning's real superpower, and I use that word loosely, I don't mean it in a silly way, but is that you could turn your mind into a position where you needed to be along with your talent, your natural talent. And is the reason you could do that? That's question one. Is the reason you could do that is because you also felt properly prepared?
Yeah, for sure. I felt like I could get there because I was prepared. But then I felt like from me doing that, I could see bits of people's armor who I was competing against start crumbling away.
Because they were watching you.
Bit of both,
Bit of both.
yeah.
What is because of age or just because they've been there for a long time?
Just no, I just knew their armor. Could have been young guys, could have
Yeah.
been older guys, but I could just see little things where, they might,
You started to unpick their strengths.
yeah, and you sort of could really, and sometimes I'd paddle out, and I was like, even the way that they paddled, I was like, oh, I'm beating you today. Like,
Yeah, because you saw they were sort of lacking confidence or they weren't
yeah,
right.
or they're looking back and they're confused about what to do, and um, even times where I didn't feel extremely confident, I'd just fake it till I made it, and just
That works.
yeah, and just put on this facade as like, fuck, I know where I'm going.
Did you ever suss that out on Slater? Did he ever sort of show any weakness, or was he the utmost all the time?
No, look,
And I don't mean he's showing weakness. Like
yeah, no, he wouldn't show weakness, but I sort of, there were times where, because Kelly likes to talk a lot in heats and
in the water.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
water, or he likes to
Is that being friendly, or is he sort of trying to get you off your game?
probably both. He's a competitor, man.
Yeah, totally.
He's the most competitive person I've ever met.
Oh, I've heard that about you, by the way. So
Oh, I'm pretty mellow these days.
These days, but I've heard then those days you were one of the most competitive people
Yeah.
that most people have ever met.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just if I started talking and I felt like I was falling into his game.
Yeah.
So I'll just shut up and just concentrate on me and then that way I knew that I could contain what I was doing. You know, the moment I start thinking about what he's doing or this or that, I'm
Mm.
playing into his game. So that was sort of my way of dealing with him and deterring his sort of mind games and all that kind of stuff.
That's
Because
amazing. Most people wouldn't know that because they don't. They just think of surfers. Oh, he's like a dude, gonna get on his board, catch a wave. They're not thinking that because they don't realize how it's a big business. It's a huge business, particularly for the individual, but the industry's huge. But guys like you are actually not playing mind games, but you're out there competing with your brain as well as your physical talent.
yeah, 100%. Like I love like, you talk to rugby league players or whatever, and it's like, because they do banter.
Oh,
Like,
all the time.
yeah. And they'll always ask me, like, do you talk shit or whatever? And I was like,
Okay.
I can't, because the moment I do that, I fall out of my game. But you could say whatever the hell you wanted to me, and most of the time I wouldn't falter.
Do you ever get sledged?
Sometimes, but
Is sledging a thing though in the surfing world?
not too bad, because you're dealing with, obviously you're competing against that one person, but you're dealing with Mother Nature,
Yeah,
and no one can beat Mother Nature.
yeah.
It can humble you so quickly and make you look like such an idiot that you can't really go that way. So yeah, it was more after the fact you would sledge. It was mainly when you lost.
Oh, I want to get away from surfing because I know you've spoken a lot about surfing over the years from lots of different places. I actually want to talk to you about some of the initiatives that you've taken in your, let's call it your business career, your career generally. And one of the things that absolutely intrigued me was the thing with the beer bottle
Oh,
thing.
the reef sandal.
Reef sandal. Tell me about that. Like, where did that idea come from? Like, how did you think about that?
To be honest, I didn't.
Well, then there you're being honest.
Yeah,
What
very
happened?
honest. So how it sort of came, like I'd been sponsored by Reef for years, and they got to a point where they're like, "Look, we want to give you a signature sandal," and I'm like, "Cool." And it was at a time where, you know, I was partying and having a lot of fun, and sort of that was a character of mine in Eugene and whatever, and then they're like, "Hey, we figured out a way to put the bottle opener into it," and I was like, "Sweet, I don't mind. Like, let's do it. Let's just give it a go and see what happens." And it went like the very first run were these green and gold ones that was so ugly, and then
Sound a bit kitsch.
it was, well, they were trying to make it Australian.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
got these designers in America like, "Oh, make it real Australian and yobbo-ish," and but then they started doing these. They started doing college colors, and so they'll take them to all the colleges in all of America with their colors, and they'll have, I don't know if you know what a Reef girl was back in the day,
No.
where it was beautiful model, and they're wearing a G-string bikini, and they'd have the Reef girls selling the sandals. So you can
At the
imagine what,
college.
yeah, in college. So you can imagine like how, you know, college frat boys or whatever just going in and just seeing all these hot chicks selling sandals. Like, I'll buy a pair just to talk to them. And the people would put them on, and they found them just comfortable, and they're the people that just keep going back and buying them and buying them and buying them, and could be, oh, like there could be like 10 pairs deep now. And it's funny, they don't even know who I am.
Oh, they didn't.
No. Like I see people in, like, now that I go to California and go Mill America and stuff like that, I see people wearing them. I'm walking straight past them. They wouldn't know who the hell I was.
You're thinking to yourself, "There's a few bob coming to my
Yeah,
way out
I'm
of
like,
that." Because I read somewhere like there's like been 11 million pairs sold or even more.
yeah,
That's mad.
it's mad.
Of one little idea.
One idea, yeah. And yeah, it's gone nuts.
When,
And
when you do something like that, Mick, and you see how successful that is, how old would you been then? Maybe
that was, we released it in, it's, yeah, 2005.
so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're like in your mid 20s.
Mm.
So did you think to yourself, hang on here, I might be able to do something with this. This is looking pretty good. I'm now involved in this. Did you learn something from that about what you could do outside of surfing, but with with the backdrop of surfing around it?
Yeah, I sort of started, that was sort of when I started learning a little bit more about, you know, how business works and all that kind of stuff. Like, so sort of give you a quick story, you know, I was 18 and I was come home to mum, and I didn't have a manager or anything at that time, but, deals started coming in, and I was like, Mum, what do you think if I got a manager? And she goes, you're not getting a manager. You're smart enough to do your own work. And if there's anything else, I'll help you and I'll teach you. Because mum managed hospitals.
Good advice.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, well, yeah, let's learn. And so I started learning, what my identity was, how companies would use it.
In terms of your brand.
Yeah. And then on top of that, mum was teaching me, different ways how to manage relationships and all that kind of stuff. And then she was actually going for a job a few years later, and she was really nervous about it, really anxious about it. I was like, look, Mum, if you don't get it, come work for me.
Seriously?
And,
Wow.
yeah. And so she didn't end up getting the job, and she ended up being my manager.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. And so she still does, like, she'll still look over contracts for me. She'll still do tax and all that kind of stuff.
That's
and help me
amazing.
with money and stuff like that. And, I've got another manager in Ronnie Blakey as well, who helps with deals, especially outside of the surfing world. Like any deal that happens in the surfing world, I just do myself. But, generic brands outside of it, he's one that really helps. But yeah, we sort of just built the whole empire just within ourselves, and just really trusted our gut feeling. And like, I could have gone and probably had a manager and tried to swindle a few more dollars here and there, but I knew deep down that I was happy because I did the deal. Or, mum always had my back, and good mate Ronnie as well always really cared about what we were doing. So
you kept it really tight.
yeah, extremely tight. So
What's interesting about that from a business point of view is that a lot of people do actually go out and have mentor here, manager over there, something going on over here, and they have a whole heap of people. But I always take the view too, like I like to be sort of in partnership with someone in my family for every business I have. There's someone in my family in every business I do. And only because I can really trust them. I'm not saying other people aren't trustworthy, but how important is that trust factor for you?
Oh, it's incredible. I like, even when I do deals now, like I'll get my gut feeling, or I'll sit down with someone, and then I'll have to go and relay that back to mum or to Ronnie and just be like, okay, what do you think? And they'll give me an honest opinion.
Yeah.
And then I'll show them the deal, and they'll be like, this sounds good, maybe it doesn't. And they know my brand so well as well. So it's like, all right, sometimes it'll be like, I don't think that fits. Or there'll be things where like, yep, go for it. And so, yeah, it's always, you've got to have that trust in the people that you're dealing with. Otherwise, you always question it. And so you won't go into a deal full on.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do the work that you want to do because you're like, is this guy swindling me?
Yeah.
Or is this brand just taking the piss? So yeah, that trust is a big, big factor.
Well, it takes one of the things out of your mind that you have to would otherwise have to think about every day and every minute, and it allows you, as you said, to fully commit to what you're up to.
Yeah.
In other words, fully use your talent,
yeah,
or your brand, or whatever it happens to be that you're using to promote the business. I can't not talk about Balter, the beer brand, Because, one of my good mates told me about when you guys first started this thing off, and I'm thinking, why the fuck did you invite me, Inch?
Yeah.
But
Well,
but
that's
I
the thing
remember when it
is,
happened, like years back, and he told me about it. And where did that idea come from for the beer brand, the beer business, as a craft beer?
yeah. So we were flying over to Hawaii for the last event of the year in 2014. And Bede Durbridge rings me and he's like super nervous. He goes, "Oh, I'd love to just chat to you about something." And I was like, "Oh, you know, just ask." And he goes, "No, I want to do it in person." I'm like, "Okay."
So you had a pitch.
Yeah. So we're in the Qantas Club, just about to get on a plane to Hawaii. And he's like,
And what was he to you then?
he was a competitor,
Right.
but good mate on tour.
Yep.
And so he's like, "Would you like to start a craft beer brand?" And I was at that point and I was like, "Yeah, why not? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You get free beer for life, right?"
Yeah.
You know? And so it sort of just started like that. And then from there, it just started growing in the sense that, we had a meeting, like Bede was like, "Do you reckon Parker will get involved?" I was like, "I'll just tell him he has to be." And so we sort of just, between Bede, Parker, Josh Kerr, and myself, we sort of had a nucleus of, all right, let's start hashing this out and seeing where we can take it. And then we're lucky enough to go and start putting the right people that we felt that we could trust and to do an incredible job. And so
As investors, Mick, or as just in terms of operations?
operations
Yes.
operations is always first.
Yeah. Like, in other words, who's the person going to build the beer recipe and all that sort of, like, your
Yes.
brewer?
Yeah. So we started off talking to a marketing guy in Sterling Harland who did a lot of stuff for Billabong. He did Nimble. He did a whole bunch of different things. And I rang him and he was like, "I was just about to start my own beer website." And I was like, "Well, now you can just start your own beer brand." And then from there, we were sort of looking for CEO and someone who could take over the operations. And I put forward Ant McDonald. He was my former team manager at Red Bull, and he had done everything like under the sun. We'd surfed together on tour, but then through all the different paths of his life, he went from knocking on people's doors as a real estate agent, getting told,
Hustle.
yeah, trying to get effed off every
Yeah. Yeah.
doorstep.
By the way, that's a big skill to learn.
Yeah, but then also like his last thing before we nabbed him, he started his own restaurant in Cronulla, and the first day he's gone to serve a coffee and just spilt it everywhere, and he was
Wow.
just like, "You know what? This part isn't for me. I'm going to go and do the dishes and look after the money." And he would do dishes all day, and that sort of work ethic was sort of like, I knew he was smart enough to be better than a dish pig. But yeah, and he was always that person that if he didn't know something, he'd be able to learn it with the people he was doing it. And that was one of the big strengths through Bolter that he did, was just he was never too cocky or never too proud to learn something. And so with that sort of nucleus, and another guy from the States, Sean Ronan, with that nucleus, we're able to start piecing together what the beer brand would look like.
As in roles. So you're, because it sounds like to me, Mick, that you and others are sitting back going, okay, what are all the roles we need to have? How can we find people we know and trust?
Yeah,
And why do we trust them?
exactly.
Because they've been through it before, or they've done something. And it sounds like it was like building a chessboard nearly, of functions.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty important skill.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever think in your life at some stage you've seen someone else do that you might have been a proxy to, you copying what they've done? How'd you know how to do that? Like, it's no as if you went and did an MBA somewhere and they sort of gave you the theory on all this shit.
Well, it sort of just came back to how I did my career as a surfer.
Yeah.
I was the main chess piece,
Yep.
and I'd be like, well, who do I bring in? What part of my team do I need to make me better? And so it was
It's like being the king on a chessboard, and how do I protect the king?
yeah, or even simpler than that. It's like being a footy coach.
Yeah.
How am I going to build the best footy team
Yeah.
and get us to the top? And so once it came, I found business to be very similar to how I treated my surfing career.
Yeah, I
And
can see that. And
yeah,
it's funny too, because you were sort of, let's call it the leader, or one of the leaders, leading the business, like leading the ideas and leading the business. But it's more like you got people to follow you. And I don't mean that in a subservient way, but you had the ability to somehow get people to buy into the idea, buy into what you guys are doing, buy into the whole thing.
yeah.
I mean, how do you see leadership versus like? Because leadership's a funny concept, and some people think leaders are, I gotta be strident and I gotta move forward, and everybody's gonna, be my, part of my motivation, and I'm going to inspire them. But other people that lead by example,
Mhm.
and or by inspiration. What was your style of leadership?
I was always, I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do.
Does that mean you got to be prepared to do everything?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
whatever it takes.
whatever it takes. But also too, I know there's better people in different areas.
So you knew your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. And I'm comfortable enough in my own skin to say, I'm actually really bad at that.
Yeah.
I know you can do it. And so as being, we always had this thing in Balter that no one's bigger than anyone else. Everyone, there's no egos whatsoever. And like the first night that we opened, staff wanted to go home or whatever. I was there, and I was like, no one was cleaning the floor, so I just grabbed the mop and just started mopping the floor. That's when.
But did you do that to show them that you were prepared to do that, or you just thought, no, that's a job that needs to be done?
It's a job that needs to be done.
But you're aware of the fact that people will be watching you, and that
No, I just did it.
Yeah. So you weren't trying to be affectatious. What I'm trying to
No,
get to, because some
no.
people do that to put on a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you just thought, well, this is a job that needs to be done, because all these things come back to how you got brought up, what you're like as a kid, where the sort of shit your mum and dad made you do as a kid. What do you have to do? Jobs. You got to go and do this. Got to do that. Some people never experience that stuff, and they feel quite awkward with doing that as they get older.
Mm.
Like, and especially in business, like you said, your mate is prepared to be the dish pig, even though he owned the business.
Yeah.
Decided, I'm not going to be front of house. I've got to be back of house because I'm hopeless at the front.
Yeah.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Oh, 100%. And that humbleness as well.
Humility is so important.
Yeah.
Were you like that as a server? Did you realize what you're strong at and what you're weak at?
Yes.
Because I remember Jack Gibson telling me many, many years ago when he was alive, he said to me, son, you've got to train to your strengths and practice your weaknesses.
Sure.
Basically write them all out and what you're good at. Be honest.
Yep.
Do it in front of somebody.
Yeah.
So when you were surfing, when you went to say to go to the gym, did you decide, well, I'm really good on a bottom end turn, I can really get on the rails pretty hard, I'm going to build my legs up or build whatever muscles you need to do that sort of stuff? Did you go through your strengths and weaknesses as a surfer?
Oh, 100%. I used to have lists everywhere.
Wow.
And
did you test them against other people? Did you say to someone, this is what I think my strengths and weaknesses are? Do you agree?
Yeah. So I would be back and forth, like in talking to, my team or whatever, and say, hey, like there was one thing that I always did well with my coach was he would give me something. I'm like, look, I'm not sure it's going to work. I'll go and try it, but I don't think it's going to work. And if I was proven wrong, I was like, all right, you were right. And if I was proven right, I'm like, maybe we can tweak it a little bit here and there. So that was, he was a great sounding board in that sort of thing. But also too, you talk about doing in front of someone. I don't think there's no other person except looking in the mirror. And because you can't lie to yourself, you know when you're lying. Like if I look in the mirror and go, I'm the best aerialist in the world, the person in the mirror is going, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Grow up. No. And
also probably in the surfing community in particular, they're pretty honest. Like people are going to say, people won't bullshit you. Because that's not the territory. It's not like in business. I don't want to bag investment bankers, but if I've been involved in these worlds, and a lot of times people talk shit. They actually tell you what they think you want to hear.
Yeah.
Whereas your world, your community, pretty honest.
Yeah, they're very honest, but also too, you've got the media right there too,
Yeah,
and the media's honest.
they'll pull your pants down
Yeah.
in a second.
Yeah, and so you read these things, and some things you're like, oh, actually, I don't agree with that. But then there's other things like, you know what, you're right, and then use that motivation to prove them wrong.
So when you had you and the team were built, like, or you guys sort of put the team together, and you thought to yourself, well, I got most of the elements, and you probably put a bit of initial capital into it because you've got to, got to have some working capital. People got to get paid, you got to pay rent and things like that. How did you go about pitching it to raise money? Because I know you raise money. So how did you go about that? Did you find it a professional, or did you say to somebody, I'll pay you 5% fee to go and raise, $10 million or $5 million, or to get this thing up and running? And because you need to get scale in the beer game, right? In booze, you've got to get scale.
Yeah,
How'd you go about doing the pitch?
it was pretty much just us between the team,
What,
just
so
going and talking to people,
mates?
yeah, and just saying, hey, this is what we believe in. This is how we see it, um, and and this is like the rates and everything that we think will be working, and this is our dream, is to pay you back this time, and
Did you have
so
did you have a formula at that stage for what the beer is going to taste like?
so before we got to that point, we actually nailed our brewer down, and talking about pitch to try and get someone, like we understood, we were all sort of very aware that we could go and make this a full media ploy,
Yeah,
and the beer could taste absolute shit. But the thing in the beer world, you want someone to come back for a second, don't
yeah,
you?
yeah.
And so we knew we had to get an incredible brewer.
Did you know the taste you want?
No, like, to be honest, before I even went down this world of craft beer, I was like every other Australian drinking to his new 4X
Yeah.
and just your generic. And so it was like, once we were like, oh, we're going to go down the craft beer world, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go into a fridge and I'm going to start tasting this, this, and this. And it'd be like, all right, well, I like that beer. I like that beer. And yeah, as I said, we found the brewer, and trying to pitch to him, like, will you come and work for us? And he's just looking at four surfers, and he's like, these guys are just doing a money grab. This, I don't want any be a part of it. And he wouldn't say anything. And if it wasn't for his wife saying, this is your dream to go and start a brewery, go and do it, I don't know if we would have had him. And then once, like, we knew how to do the whole front of house, the back of house, we just said, here's your canvas,
Go for it.
go nuts. And what he's built is, he had the dream from day one. He would draw crop circles and, pots and pans all in concrete on the, and it was just, from where, like, I remember vividly seeing those drawings, and to what he's built now was just incredible. And so once we started doing the pitches, he had a whole bunch of different beers that he already had. And he brought these one over, and everyone had the same sip of the exact same beer, and everyone's like, that's it.
It's the pale ale.
That's the beer.
Is that the pale ale?
Yes,
Yeah.
the XBA.
Yeah.
And we knew it. And
Did you decide there and then what it was going to look like? Yeah, I mean, in terms of packaging, because it was a bit different to normal beer. Beer's usually pretty blokey, and this one was I don't know what the green is, sort of a bluey green color on the I'm talking about the can.
yes,
It was sort of a bit unusual, nearly not feminine, but like have it a bit of a feminine appeal.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
not blokey.
no. So going into that, like, as I said, I hadn't been in the craft world before. And so I'm going into the fridges and seeing all these different craft beers. And to me, it just looked so hard to distinguish what beer was what brand lived in what brand. So I'm like to the team, hey, why don't we just do a white can and
Just one color.
one color? Do a white can. So when it sits in the shelf, it just pops, because everything else is so busy and crazy. And then,
That's clever.
yeah, and then Sterling, when he was designing it and stuff like that, he's like, all right, we're going to put this color at the bottom. And I was like, I thought we were just doing a white can. And I just want a white can. And he's like, trust me, you're going to have all these different flavors. And imagine the cans pulling on board shorts.
Yeah.
And each flavor is a different pair of board shorts.
Oh, wow.
And from that moment, I got it. And I was like, you're right. And now you go in and you see the fridges, you know exactly which can's a Balter can because it's white and it's got the board shorts at the bottom.
I can pick it straight away. Like when I see, especially when I see the pale ale, that's the one I drink when I drink, which is not often these days. But yeah, and I actually really love the taste of it. And your investors, obviously everybody did very well because it's probably well known now and it's been out in the media. But you guys sold for a large sum of money to Asahi.
With CUB, and then CUB sold to Asahi, yeah.
And then, of course, there was some earn-out and over time, because Ginge keeps telling me about it, just to rub it in.
Yeah.
But you've done very well. But in terms of increasing volumes and in the early days, one of the things he told me is that you guys opened up like a bar or something. Was it a Currumbin or something
Yeah,
like that?
we've got a tap house there. So where the actual first original brewery is, we've got a tap house where you can go and try not only the ones that we sell like out in the public, but there's a whole bunch of different flavors.
In those days, people used to be able to go there and have a drink on a Friday night or something like that. Because he used to go up there all the time. He used to tell me.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a stroke of genius because people are going to go there, have a beer, and they're going to go and tell their mates about it. How much did you need to rely on your own socials? Did you have to rely on that much? And Joel's, because you both got pretty big socials.
It was only just at the start. We all sort of looked at each other and said, let's let the beer be the hero.
Yeah.
Very
clever.
And so being the face of the beer was never really, we're not going to put our face up next to a beer. It was always the beer always came first.
Yeah.
And so, when we started opening up and we had the tap room open, it was so cool. Like even to this day, it's such a diverse group of people that come in. Like we had horses out the front some days, and then you'd have older people, you have young crew that would have a few drinks before they wanted to go out, and so it was a really diverse crowd that we would have, and
they'd all take it back and spread the word.
Yeah, oh, come try this beer. It's only at this spot, or it's only at that spot. And so that's sort of how it started growing, and then we were lucky enough that we had different crew and different investors from Melbourne that had the Sandhill Road Group, different bars in Sydney, and so you're sort of growing that way. But it was a lot of it is just going up and just having that relationship with whoever owns the bar, and so you start growing that way until you start taking real estate away from the big guys, and then they're like, hang on, they're stealing our margin.
Yeah, market share.
So they either try and squash you or they buy you. Yeah,
and it can be one or the other.
Yes.
I mean, timing is pretty important on these things, because, but like I've always wanted to tell you that I thought it was a really fantastic, in terms of timing, a really fantastic way you took advantage of the timing and ultimately sold it, but the whole process was really well executed, and most people don't know it, that you're the guy, one of the guys behind, initial guys behind this this particular brand that ended up in the hands of Asahi, which is one of the world's largest today beer brand owners. And it's interesting that as you said, that in terms of building a good team, these are things that you sort of thought of when things you experienced as a surfer, and leadership, followership, and all, like trust. Is it like all these themes keep coming out in your life? Can I turn slightly differently to, well, most people don't know about you, but I happen to know a bit about, is that you have become quite a charitable guy. I don't mean in a charity sense, but quite a giving person. And I remember, and I know these things not through research, I just remember because Ginge tells me everything. I remember these days when the floods were up at Lismore, and it was just around the COVID period. I remember David ringing me up and saying, mate, I said, what are you doing? He said, I fucking wouldn't believe it. He said, the floods. No one's got internet. Mick Fanning's ring up Mick Doohan. Mick Doohan's lent him the helicopter or something. They're all there with jet skis going down the river, rescuing people, rescuing dogs. And somehow he told me that you managed to, I don't know how you did it, or whether it's true or not, but tell me if it's true, get in contact with Musk or Musk's people, Elon Musk's people, and got Starlink to install
Yeah.
the internet. Is that true?
It was such a wild time, that whole flood period. Like, I went from
Why the Northern Rivers? Or why did you get involved? Because you weren't living in the Northern Rivers. You were
where we are on the Goldie, like Tweed was pretty much the first safe point
Right.
from how much flooding. Like,
right.
Went from Tweed all the way down to, Broadwater, Coraki. And so how it all came about was, Parker went down the river on his jet ski with a mate, and they were like, we're just going to go down and have a look, just to see how bad it is or whatever. I don't even exactly know why he jumped on the ski and decided to go
into Lismore though.
No, he was in he just went down the Tweed River down to like Chindera,
Right. Yeah.
Down towards like Murbar way.
Yep.
And he went down, and I think he was just thinking he was just going to check it out and see how wild it was. Next thing he knows, he said he got probably like anywhere between 10, 20 people out of houses, and he was out there all day. And he came home that afternoon, and he was like, guys, this is what happened. I think we need to go back down tomorrow. And sure enough, we're on a thread, with all the boys, and within 2 minutes, we had 6 jet skis on the water ready to go for the next morning. And first day I went down, and it was wild. It was so wild. Like going through Chindera, we started off at Tweed and we went down Chindera and going through the campgrounds, and you could just smell the gas.
Whoa.
And you like, things could just pop off. Like, it was like going through a minefield, and then just kept going up the river, up the river, up the river, and just ended up just in all kinds of places, checking in on people, shifting people from one house to another house, getting people from a house that was still rising, like the water was still rising, and getting into safety. And then what happened, like, we were on the skis and we were, doing all the groundwork once that we were there, but then our wives and our partners were back at Tweed, and they were like, they started getting calls and stuff like that, like, we need more fuel, we need food, we need water to get to these people. And so they set up this central hub just at Tweed River, and people were just coming and just dropping stuff off if it was, whatever they could, because places were wiped out. And then, yeah, it was just, the community just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And my side of it was, first day I was on the ski. I was on the ski for 2 days. First I did like Chindera Tumbolgum, and then the next day got up to Murbar. And you get up to Murbar, and the police are standing there, and they're like, we have no resources. We can't get anywhere. We don't know what to do.
Yeah, they don't have jet skis sitting in the back of the cop shop.
We were able to get boats up full of food, full of fuel, full of water, so they could go and deliver it to where it needed to be. We had fuel for the main hospital there, just so the generators could work, There was people that needed blood, would be able to fly them up and down the river, so people, didn't die. And then medication and stuff like that. And then
because a lot of the roads are closed off.
Loads of gone.
Trees and stuff just wiped out.
Gone.
Because most people don't realize how bad it was.
It was like, I was taking photos of things, and
a mate of mine told me he saw a cow. I'm not imagining this. He's an excavator, and the council got him to come in with his excavator. A cow stuck up in a tree. like dead,
dead.
sitting in a tree.
Yeah. And that would have been one of hundreds.
Yeah.
You know, we went down and there's a cow on a 2-story roof
Wow.
just sitting there because it's the only dry land within a couple of hundred. Like a cow got washed out at Duranbar Beach. Like it was wild. It was like full war zone. And these people had nothing, and so it just went from, it just sort of escalated from that. And then, like as I said, that our partners and the people that couldn't get on the water, they were sort of organizing everything at the docks and sitting there. And then people started learning that we were doing that, and so they would just send a message to them, can you get to this address, and I need either food or I need medication or I need water or I just need to get out of here. And so we would just be getting relayed text messages from, our community, and you just go and show up. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then luckily our friends had this big warehouse in Currumbin, and there were like trucks coming in, cars coming in, dropping all kinds of stuff off, going straight on trucks, loading it and going to as far as we possibly could. And then they would load up on the jet skis and get to these different addresses. And it was incredible what, um, like a small community like could do. Like, we talk about devastation and all that kind of stuff. What this community did, and I still get thanked by people, and they're like, "Thank you, you helped my mum." And this is years later, and
It was 22,
it was
2022.
22, and yeah, started 22, and I still see people, and they're like, and still people are not viable in their homes. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's still fighting for their lives, and
And
the whole
you run a charity for this now.
yeah. So I run charity golf day now because
Once a year.
yeah, once a year, just at Cooley Tweed, and we've raised just over $2 million in a few years,
And that's to help.
just to help people that still need help in these areas. So it might be youth, or it might be housing, but then also people that still need help on the sense of, they still don't have a fridge. Or, I spoke to one lady and she only had her first shower indoors
No.
just before Christmas.
No.
Yes.
Last year.
Last year.
Whoa, 2 years.
Yes.
Before she had a shower indoors.
Indoors.
And people don't realize how bad the accommodation issue is either.
It was horrible. And because these are some of the, I think it's like some of the poorest socioeconomic places in Australia, they don't have money. They don't have 10 grand to go and fix this or that. They don't have 30 grand to rebuild a house. And so, once you're going through all these places and you see that, you're like, I have to do more.
Yeah.
I have to give back until the job's actually done. And so that's where we started, Chuppers is just standing down here. Like, we were just joking around, like, how do we do this? And everyone plays golf, right? But sort of to get back to your story about the Starlink was, I'm in a meeting with the community, and they're like, can someone tweet Elon Musk and ask for some Starlinks? And I was like, I don't know how it works. Like, I've got a Twitter account. I'll just throw it out there, And so I just tweeted, and within probably an hour, Chris Hemsworth rings me up. He was overseas at the time, and he goes, "You wouldn't believe it. My manager's best friend is the CEO of Starlink."
Wow.
And within 2 hours, I was on the phone to her, and she's like, "I can get you," I think it was 10 or 20 Starlinks, and she had them, and we were able to get them to places so people could communicate, let you know that, yeah, and say I'm safe, or and then flying, rang McDowan and, can I borrow your helicopter? I'll pay for the fuel, and we're just hiring helicopters, and it's like people would be landing and they hadn't seen anyone or heard anything for a week. Like, they were just so excluded from the world. It was wild. So, well, sort of, it's one thing that you just yeah, you start a job and you just want to make sure you finish it because you know there are people out there doing it, and yeah, we're still trying to help.
Mick, do you ever think to yourself, we're just listening to you, some of the, you do big things, you've done some world titles, massive beer business. And I'm not sort of trying to elevate those things above all the small things you do, but then you did the, help with the Northern Rivers campaign, and you're still out there raising money, running a charity for it, or you and others. Do you ever think to yourself, or scratch your head and say, a lot of these things have been successful in terms of the objective based on the community that I was able to be part of? So the Northern Rivers community all pulled together. Your original Balter community, be it employees or investors or your customers, your original customers, consumers. Then your surfing community, you tapped into that and found out what you're good at and how you can be better. Do you ever think to yourself that about the power of really strong communities
Oh, every
as
day,
they affect your life, have affected your life?
every day. I would not be in a situation I am without my community, but also too, I wouldn't be mentally strong or mentally well if it wasn't for my community.
And you've got a few communities. Some are
Yeah.
interspersed, but nonetheless, you've got different communities around the joint. And you're only young man. You've got probably a long way to go in that regard. I mean, you're going to have lots of them by the time you say, in your 60s. I mean, you will.
Hope I don't forget everyone.
But
No, but look, probably the most pivotal point when I realized how powerful community is and how much I love the people that surround me was, when my first brother Sean passed away.
how old were you?
I was 17, yeah, 17, 16, 17, and like I was really struggling. Like,
When he passed away?
yeah, like I wouldn't go out of the house, wouldn't, I was in my room, dark.
Was he the oldest brother, the youngest brother?
He
Where
was
was he?
the brother who was just above me,
Right.
so 3 years older than
You
me.
were
So he
close
was
to him.
like, we were really close, and I remember it so clearly that I I couldn't get out of the house. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to see anyone. I couldn't even, didn't even want to take the dog for a walk because I was so like, someone would say I'm sorry or this or that, and I couldn't deal with it. And I remember a whole bunch of mates just show up at my door
At once?
at once,
Wow.
and they were all in their their wetsuits, had their boards, and they're
Let's
like, "You're
go.
coming surfing."
Yeah.
And like, even get emotional about it now, but without them, who knows where I would have ended up.
Yeah.
Who knows? I could have been the fucking local pisshead. Um, and so, and that keeps coming back to me.
That's a theme.
That's a thing that keeps like, but so like if I always feel like someone in my community needs me, all they got to do is call.
Do you feel as though, in some respects, that event in your life has sort of gone full circle, and now what Mick's doing now is Mick's actually helping and or building bigger communities who all help each other, similar to that your little community when you're 17, come and sort of got you out of a funk, and sort of got you back into the water, where it's sort of can be pretty meditative when you're surfing, but get you into the right frame of mind. Do you feel as though it's like a full circle in some respects, or is it a pay forward for?
It's almost pay it forward.
Yeah, pay forward.
Yeah. And
Because we have these events in our lives, and I reckon for a reason.
oh, for sure. I think, as I said, I don't know how my life would have shaped up. Like I sit here with you today and, we've talked about all these different things. There is no way when I was born in Penrith, that was my roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, as I said, I'm extremely grateful for where I am but
Would community be one of the things you're most grateful for?
100%. Yeah. I think people together people looking out for each other is so powerful, so powerful, you know. And I know people get bogged down in politics and all this kind of stuff, but I think just people in general, they just want to do good. And when
Yeah.
you put a lot of people that want to do good together, extraordinary things happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's funny, like because when you look at all the modern marketing literature today, it talks about community for business. Build your community. Whether you do it through TikTok or Instagram, whatever it is. But they talk about these things which are. It sounds like it's really brilliant, but it's actually quite basic and fundamental how the human being works.
Mm-hmm.
We work best whether it's a community of 5 or 6 when you're 17, or thousands trying to help you out with the golf days and everything else you're doing for the Northern Rivers. Yeah, it's the same deal. I never really thought about it myself until now. You've sort of poked me in that regard. And communities, for me, is also really, really bloody important.
But even in business, like,
Same.
it's exactly the same. Like, if you like, you're talking about people coming and having a beer. Like, even in your world, if you treat one customer bad,
Yeah,
he's going to tell someone else, aren't they? And then it's going to ripple effect. So you've got to be very genuine. I feel like you've got to be very genuine in the sense that you got to be honest,
yeah,
and you got to treat people the way they want to be treated. And some people are dickheads and shouldn't be treated
yeah.
anyway.
But it happens.
But yeah, but I think for the general population, people can see through
Most people
the
well-meaning.
fakeness. Yeah,
Most people well-meaning too.
yeah.
They come up to you in the street. Oh, you're Mick Fanning. Can I get a photo? And that sort of stuff would happen. You got to do it, like, because most of them just want a photo. It's no big deal.
No,
I mean, like it's.
tell that to an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, true. So you mentioned your brother died. Your youngest brother, or the one closest to you in age, but your other 2 brothers have passed away too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, out of the 5 kids, there's only you and your sister still alive. That's pretty hectic.
Extremely, yeah.
It's like, I mean, I've got a brother and sister. I just can't imagine it. How do you deal with it? Like, is it a daily thing, or do you sort of talk to them? Like, do you feel as though you have a connection with them? Like, my mother and father both died in the last couple of years, and I still talk to my father and mother every night.
Yeah.
Just have a word to them, Or sometimes when I'm driving home, in the old days when I was, in the old days, 2 years ago, I used to ring my parents every night on the way home from work, mainly because I knew if I spoke to my mum, like I could say mum or home, so I didn't have to keep talking anymore. But now I sometimes think to myself, wouldn't it be good to talk to mum or dad? And sometimes I just do that. I actually say, okay, fuck it, I'll just talk to them.
Yeah.
How do you feel about losing your other 2 brothers as well? And how do you communicate?
Yeah, look, I've always sort of been in this belief that the energy stays within the universe.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I feel like their spirit or their soul is still around. And especially like when I was meditating a lot, or focusing and getting really quiet, there were times where I felt they were with me. And they all have a different way they make me feel. And
Oh, really? All 3?
yeah. And so I sort of know when one of them's here or there. But then, like, as you said, you might be driving and you'll see something, you just have a memory pop up, and you get sucker punched with emotion and you're like bawling down the highway. But I feel like, yeah, but then they've left legacies as well, in the sense that, family or friends, and you see these people, and a lot of people come up and they want to sort of express their emotions. Sometimes it's really hard, like, do you put on pity or do you put on that? For me, I just want to celebrate them. I want to celebrate, like, if my brother wasn't here, I wouldn't know you, or vice versa. So you sort of just celebrate that. And there's so many incredible memories that I want to live with, and just want to, I guess, keep telling their story. And Sorry, I think someone's trying to. It's my manager.
He's listening.
Yeah.
You want to keep telling their story because like their story is important to be told
Oh, for
because
sure.
it's your story too.
Yes, and a lot of people live through their memory as well. You know, they see you and like, oh, remember that time? How funny was that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or and so yeah, I just try and celebrate who they are.
It's very cerebral though, Mick. That's quite intellectual. That's sort of fairly deep. I mean, I'm glad you're like that. I mean, because I know a lot of people we get like that as we get older a lot. I wasn't like that at your age, but definitely as I got older, I think more like that. It's very very thoughtful. Like I don't mean in a you're a good boy type thing. I mean thoughtful in intense thought. And
Yeah.
because most people would say, oh, he's made a lot of money, he's a world champion, he's got everything, beautiful family. Look at his life now. But most people wouldn't credit you with looking back on yourself and who Mick Fanning is and who makes up Mick Fanning. And because we are all, I reckon, we're all a product of everything that we grew up around, not just what we've done today. Like and you're growing up with your brothers and your sister and your mum and your dad. Like you're all of those things.
Oh, 100%.
Mick Fanning's all those things. He's
Yeah.
not just Mick Fanning, the guy who won the world title 3 times. That's not it. Not the guy who took. I mean, Joel said you took the one title off him when he wasn't able to compete. We asked him what he would like me to ask you.
Yeah.
But it's not just about that.
No.
They're all little transactions that happen along the way. But really, you're the sum of all those other things.
For sure. And I think, like probably the easiest way to explain it is, we're talking about, building a team, right?
Yeah.
But you do that in life as well, where, you might see someone and you're like, oh man, he looks great in that shirt. I'm going to get that shirt. And it's taking little bits and pieces of everything and everyone you see or everyone you meet, and you're adapting little parts.
What
to
suits
build
me.
you, yeah. And building your own puzzle in a sense.
Because you said that earlier about when you were talking to people when you were starting to be in the pro surfing world. You said that earlier, actually. You said that I would go and talk to various people and I would take from them something out of that might be good for me in terms of my career. And we still do that, even when we're older.
Subconsciously.
Yeah. And it works. It's always worked for you anyway. And so by the way, I did mention your wife and children. So anyone listening to this right now probably thinks you're sitting here as a single bloke. You have a wife and children, right? Like, you want to talk to me about that? So, how important are they in your life today?
Incredible. That's why I was late.
Yeah.
I was at skate lessons.
For one of your kids?
Yeah. So look, I cherish them. Like, like my wife and my kids, like, I'll do anything for them. And, I guess.
Do they travel with you and stuff?
Yeah. Well, we don't travel a whole lot anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I sort of look at myself as, just want to be dad, and everything else happens around that. Like, if the kids need me or this or my wife needs me,
that's the center of your universe.
Yeah, it's like they come first. Even in my own world, like, I come last. Like, in those 4, I'm last.
And you're happy with that, though?
Yeah, I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a big life. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I want to be there, and I want to just make sure that whatever way they want to go, whatever thing they want to do, they know they've got love and support, the way that I've always had love and support from my parents, from my siblings, from my friends. And so I'm always there, just, I'm here if you need me.
So do you ever, how old are your kids?
5 and 18 months.
Yeah. So do you ever think to yourself, my 5-year-old son might become a surfer?
He might not.
And do you ever think, what do you have views on what you'd like your son or daughter to do, or just whatever they want to do?
It would be amazing if they wanted to go down that path. But in saying that, whatever they want to do, like, for me, it was really hard. Like, for a whole year, my son didn't want to go to the beach. And I'm just like,
Oh no.
I'm gonna have one of these kids. But it taught me a lot. It was like I can't make them want to do something.
They're not you.
No, but the only dream that I have with them that I'd love to do is to go and show them the world and show them the different parts of the most beautiful places on earth. And that's the only thing. If they surf with me or if they're just there, that's it.
Wow.
And
That's amazing if you can do that. That's the best.
yeah, incredible.
And
yeah.
you put yourself in a position to do that too. Like, you know,
I'm lucky.
Well, I don't know about that. You made your luck. You worked out where your talent was. You worked it hard. You got to where you got to. A bit of luck, perhaps a bit of timing. Timing and luck sort of go together, but you got to have the content to take advantage of that timing and luck, mate. So it doesn't work any other way unless you make the content in the first place and put in the work, the work ethic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I guess to you, given you had a close family in terms of your brothers and your siblings and your parents, how important is it then for you to have the same thing between your two kids, like them to be close to each other?
Yeah. Look, you can, once again, you can't mash two people together that don't like each other. But
that's interesting.
We're lucky in the sense that, Xander was at the birth of Lila, and the first moment he saw her, he was so excited.
Oh wow.
And they've just got this bond. Like, he wakes up after her these days and she'll just run and give him a big cuddle. And like at 18 months, it's so beautiful. And like Bree and I are sitting there like elbowing each other, like how beautiful is that? And so we hope it lasts. I'm sure they're going to fight.
Yeah, of course they'll fight.
As you do.
But you fought with your brothers
yeah.
and sister.
Oh, yeah.
What's amazing though, you just like when I sit back and listen to this story, you sort of, in some respects, you say you're lucky, but it's sort of like you've been blessed with unbelievably good outcomes. Other than a shark tried to attack you and a few things like that, and by the way, you lost 3 brothers. But in terms of your immediate outcomes, there's a blessing there.
Oh, 100%.
It's like, and even the fact that the shark didn't get you, I mean, it's like some intervention.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, that's what I always feel like there's always someone looking out for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like my brothers are there, sort of helping shape me.
Just tap you on the shoulder, mate, careful.
Yeah, or just move that way. But also too, I guess, without going through those traumas and all that, would I appreciate those little moments?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing, is like, some people just, you've got to see the good in everything. Like, if we always focus on the bad, it's going to be.
But were you always like that? Or were those changing moments, turning moments where you thought, you know what, blessed, that didn't happen to me, or my brother's passed away and I'm standing there, or, could have been me. Do you ever think to yourself, therefore I appreciate all of this stuff? I become much more appreciative in life?
Yeah, I think so. I think we like, you don't want to have those things. Like, I look at people that, haven't been through anything, and, small things might affect them different to how they affect me. But, yeah, look, it's just, I think it's when you're talking to your best mates, or you're talking to someone that you really care about, or they're going through a hard time, it's like, it's shit for now.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be shit. You have the power to turn that around. And, no one can make you do it. They can give you advice and do all these things, but you have the power to turn that. You have the power to go, I could go down dark alley, or I can go and chase that light. And I feel like I've always wanted to chase the light.
So you're more a half glass full type dude.
Yeah, maybe a few glasses.
Well, just that takes me to a bloke, his name's Eugene.
Oh, don't. God.
So we should just talk about Eugene. Is he locked away in the cupboard, or does he come
Try
into
my
it now?
very best. Yeah, he's just alter ego. gets me in way too much trouble. And
Probably more trouble when you're younger.
yeah. I tried to change him a little bit, turn him more into another person called Mick Muffin. He's a little bit more sweet, a little bit more fun, but
Because sitting here right now, the audience will think you just jumped off the cross, but you should just you should have sort of explain who Eugene is.
yeah. So he sort of Eugene was the alter ego at the end of events where I hadn't drunk, and I was so strict with everything from diet, training, rule following,
Yeah,
and
rule following, that's important.
yeah. And then once the event was done, Eugene would show up and I would try and break every one of those. And you couldn't tell me any different. If you told me don't do that, I'd go and do it.
Who called him Eugene, by the way?
It was a mate of mine, Ado. I went to his 21st birthday. It was probably the first time that I'd drunk after my brother passed away, Sean, and he's like, that wasn't you, man. That was someone else. That was Eugene. And that's how it started.
You know, it's funny, the English name Eugene comes from the Greek word Evgeny, which means fun and joy.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
from the Eugene is
Well,
a
mate.
sort of originates from the word Evgeny, and it's funny that it is about fun and joy, like, and maybe like my mother used to have an old Irish saying. She said, "All work and no play makes Paddy a dull boy."
Yeah.
And my mother used to say to me, because I used to work all war, and she used to say, "You got to go out and have some fun,
Mhm.
enjoy yourself." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And sometimes we can forget that.
For sure.
And if you're going through you're prepping for a world title, and you've got your rule book.
Mm.
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And I must do this. And it's like strict day in, day out. People do this in business all the time,
Mhm.
but they sometimes forget at what stage do I actually open up the floodgates and have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So there's no problem with bringing a bit of joy into your life. You know,
No.
obviously, you got to know when to turn it off. And
Yeah.
that's the important thing. I want to ask you this, Mick. Like, do you know when to turn Cyborg off and when to turn him on, and when do you turn Eugene off and when to turn him on? Because
Mhm.
if you do have a Eugene side in you, and I think we all do, it's not a matter of it's a bad thing to have that individual there, that other alter ego. It's about when you turn them on and when you turn them off. Can you turn them on and when can you turn them off?
Yeah.
Did you take some time to work out that sort of in and out process?
I had to, yeah. So yeah, look, I guess, we spoke about my 2004 injury. You know, I've during the rehab with that was like work.
Yeah.
5 days a week in the gym,
Physio.
weights, getting the body right. Weekend comes along, I was at the pub, you know.
Which would make the injury worse.
Yeah. But I needed that. Be like, all right, now I've got to go back in and keep working. And so, but then once I was like, all right, now I can surf, don't piss it away.
Yeah.
And so, I was sort of always the guy that when I first got on tour, my mates would ring, "Do you want to go and have a beer?" Like before the event. And I started saying, "Nah, I just don't want to. Like, I want to do my best."
I'm here to do a job.
Yeah, but then it went so full cyborg world that I couldn't control when to switch the cyborg off. And
In other words, you could become obsessed with
so
the rules
obsessed.
and the training and
I
everything else.
was just so obsessed with winning.
Mm.
This was definitely in 2007 when I won my first world title. I was so obsessed that, like, even just sitting in a room with you, I'd be looking at my watch going, all right, I'll get on the road, I'll be home, and
Yeah.
I can go and train or go and surf. And everything that I did I was always 2 steps ahead, and I was never really in the room. And I felt like some of my friendships and relationships started getting a bit sort of like super selfish, and they were breaking down in that sense. And so, a mate of mine told me straight up, he goes, "So are you going to come back to us now?" And that really, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it struck
Yeah,
home.
yeah. And so I had to really learn the balance.
Yeah.
Really learn that there's never a real balance, but you just have to learn the dance in a
Yeah.
way. It's like, it's okay to go and have a beer, and then it's okay to go and work your ass off, but make sure that you don't just go into one way or another. You have to be able to ebb and flow through these different areas of your life, and make sure that you're present in this situation of talking and being a friend or a partner, or a dad. But then also, when you're going to go and work, give it everything. And it is hard, and then there are times where you have to give yourself everything. And so it's always a work in progress.
It's
um
never perfect.
yeah, it's never perfect.
Yeah.
I think,
Because we don't want people listening to think, oh, Mick's worked it out perfectly. I mean, it's a work in progress.
oh, for sure. I heard something the other day, especially in like marriage or a relationship, where some days I might be at a 90 and my partner might be at a 10.
Yeah.
And then the next day it could be total reverse. You're never 50-50 the whole time.
Yeah.
And so you've just got to like use that seesaw effect of like, all right, I've got to show up more today, or I can back off, take care of myself. And so it's just the dance. Every day is a dance.
I like it. I like being described like that. It is a dance. And you will step on each other's toes. And sometimes you get it awfully wrong.
We all do that, don't we?
But you've got to keep dancing.
Yes.
You just get back up and keep going.
Music never stops.
So I just think we should give our listeners a bit of context where we are today. So this is one of the ventures you're involved in at the moment. So where are we at the moment?
So here we are at Palm Valley, where
a golf club,
which is going to be the site for a new wave pool here on the Gold Coast. It's the team here done an incredible job. Luke and the team have just, they've had this dream of, we want to put a wave pool here on the Gold Coast, because we've got enough waves, but we could always use more because there's a lot of surfers here. And the way that they've put the wave pool, the entertainment, the accommodation, planned all that with golf, in such a beautiful place like the Gold Coast with the climate and everything. It's it's extremely exciting.
It's God's country here. I mean,
It is.
Luke took us both on you've already been on many times, but just a quick tour and showed us what's going to happen, and sort of showed us the map. And I was just only thinking to myself, like during the winter, I mostly live in Sydney, but during the winter, I'm always thinking how good the weather is up here in Queensland. Like, it might only be 2 or 3 degrees warmer, but it's just so much better.
Yes.
For some reason, it's crazy. And I love Sydney, don't get me wrong, but it is just so much better. And which is one of the reasons I like to spend a lot more time in Byron at my farm. But and to have a wave pool here, I presume it goes summer and winter. People just jump in the wetsuit in the middle of winter. What size waves are you talking about?
Yeah, we're probably, anywhere between, I think it's 1.5 to 2 meters.
Yeah, so I
don't know if we'll get to 2 meters, but we'll definitely like head high.
Yeah, and I've met Luke before, and we're going to do a podcast with him actually, but a mentor podcast with Luke. But is Luke's raising money? He's out there raising money?
He's just about to start the capital raise.
And
so there is opportunities to get involved. Look, for me, it was so funny when he first rang me, and he's like, "Hey, I've got this idea for a wave pool." And
sounds like the guy rang up about the beer business.
Yeah, same thing. And I sort of like, all right, because I had a few start popping up, and he's like, I'm going to do this, and this. And he showed me the plans, and I was like, so where are you exactly? And he, pinpointed the map. I was like, this could be the best one in the world, just with everything else that you've got around it. Like, it's a destination in itself, the Gold Coast, but then have another destination within that. It's, it could be potentially the best one in the world.
Did you go to Abu Dhabi with Ginge when they were?
I haven't done the Abu Dhabi one yet, no, but I heard
you been in the Melbourne one?
I've done Melbourne. I've done, Munich. I've done
There's
Spain.
one in Munich, is it?
Yeah, Munich one's really fun. Tie in Oktoberfest, but that would be a dream.
So this would be the first one in Queensland.
It's been the first one in Queensland. They've had the test one up in Yeppoon. I don't know where that is, um, but yeah, out of all the resorts and everything that will happen, this will be the first one in Queensland.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. So it looks pretty cool, and I really appreciate being invited up here to do the podcast here, which we're gonna do it with Luke a bit later. Mick, I had never met you before, but I hear lots about you from lots of mates of mine who know you, and you're everything they said you were,
Oh,
and
thanks.
more. I've
You made
learned.
me smell. You made me think that I'm actually smart, but I'm not.
I don't know about that because one of our good mates, my good mates, Colin, said to me he has an amazing sense of what will work at a consumer level. He said he just gets it. He just can feel it. And he also said to me that he's brilliant at putting teams together, which is one of the things that come out today. You can put a team together, and I think that's we often talk about leadership in business, and I mean there's lots of ways of leadership can be expressed, but I think one of the most powerful ways is you don't lead, but people follow. And I don't mean follow like lambs or sheep, but I mean are inspired and they motivated and want to be part of something, part of something cool, good for humanity, whatever it is. Like the whole Northern Rivers, the flood period, it's being part of something that's really good. And so I just want to say on behalf of all those people who admire you, thanks very much.
Thank you. And you know what, I got to thank you too, because you supported in that first year of the golf day. Didn't know me, but Ginge sort of put us in touch. But I really appreciate that, and you help change people's lives. So thank you.
I appreciate it, mate.
Yeah,
So good.
cheers.